Andres de AA Sports reporting after attending the San Jose Sharks game versus the Montreal Canadiens. As you see here on the puck I got from the game after warm-ups. Still frozen from being on the ice, and I kept it that way for a great thumbnail with the Sharks and Habs logo. As in this video, I will be grading the Sharks' performance in this game. The Sharks, they played really well. They were competitive in this game, scored 3 goals, but unfortunately, it all still ended with the same disappointing result as the Sharks lost 4-3. It is one of those losses for the Sharks where honestly, you just look at how the game unfolded and the final score and say, this team is what their record says they are. And what their record says is that the Sharks are the worst team in the league right now due to a competitive young offense that is not terrible, but just simply very young and still learning. Playing with one of, if not the worst defenses in the league, plus a goalkeeper roster that outside of Yaroslav Askarov doesn't look too hot either. And this heartbreaking loss proved that. Because they didn't just lose in a standard way where the Canadiens, they were better, where you say, you know, the Habs are just that team right now. Like, no, it wasn't the case. That was not the case. They lost in a creative way on a shorthanded goal. And then the Sharks could not respond in the third period. Just a bad loss that really is only good for tanking in the draft, but nothing else. Final score, Sharks lose 4-3 at home against the Montreal Canadiens. Here are the Sharks' grades for this game against the Habs. Offensive front, B+. Let's talk about the positive first. Macklin Celebrini was on the top line for the Sharks in this game and was 100% the best player of the game for the Sharks. He scored the first of the Sharks' 3 goals and also had 1 assist. Celebrini's goal really was good teamwork, as it was just an awesome, tic-tac-toe play where every player on the ice touched the puck before Celebrini scored the goal. Great passing and movement of the puck on a great play. Celebrini could have had 2 goals in this game as he came very close to scoring again in the third period, but unfortunately he was stopped by the Canadiens goalkeeper, who has been great all year for them and was excellent in this game for Montreal, to his credit. I mean, the play was, I have the video of it that I'll post up, was crazy. Sam Montembeault showing some incredible reach and flexibility on the play. It was just absolute robbery on Macklin Celebrini. It even shocked Celebrini. It was elite goalkeeping and good puck luck for the Habs goalkeeper. But overall, Macklin was phenomenal in this game. And Colin Graf scored an absolute banger. His first goal in the NHL, the second of the night for the Sharks, and it was a good one. He took the puck from the neutral zone and took it all the way himself to score the Sharks' second goal of the game. And again, his first career NHL goal. Pretty awesome moment. He had a very solid game. Tyler Toffoli scored the Sharks' third goal in the third period. Like Celebrini, he also had a goal and an assist in the game. So you had both the young stars plus your veterans on offense contribute and play well. 3 other players, William Eklund, Barclay Goodrow, and Jake Wallman, were also credited for assists on the Sharks' 3 goals. And a big step forward for the Sharks. They actually capitalized on their power play opportunities as both Celebrini and Toffoli scored while the Sharks were on the power play. Now the bad. While the Sharks scored 3 times, at the same time, the offensive front was also part of the reason why the Sharks lost this game. Yikers. While the Sharks were on the power play with just over 4 minutes left in the third period, Andrew Podorowski turned the puck over while trying to force a pass to Fabian Zetterlund, which failed miserably. Mike Matheson attempts to clear it, but Podorowski gets it along the boards. Podorowski, he gets a second chance with the puck in the attacking zone, only to immediately lose possession of the puck on his own to Jake Evans, who on a 2-on-1 counterattack, while shorthanded, provides an assist to Joel Armia, who scores what ends up being the game-winning shorthanded goal for the Montreal Canadiens. This was very disappointing, given the Sharks' offense on the power play was absolutely bodying the Canadiens' defense up until that point. The short-term negative effects of trading Mikael Granlund for draft capital were very much visible during this moment. Podorowski was called up from the AHL following the Granlund trade, given his good form with the Barracuda. But this game did show, along with his mistakes, did show why he hasn't really been good enough for the NHL level. Along with that blunder, they were also slow on what was essentially another power play chance. On a delayed penalty, the Sharks pulled Georgiev off the ice for the extra forward, only to be slow in their passing and hesitant, you could even say indecisive, with the puck and in terms of taking the shot. This ended up being essentially a wasted opportunity to score. Carl Grundstrom was also called for a costly high sticking penalty in the final minute of the second period, which of course the penalty rolled over into the third period and resulted in a Habs goal. Not good. Defenseman, D+. Jake Wallman was on the top line once again for the Sharks defenseman and did get an assist in this game. Offensively, he was very solid. And the same could be said for some of the other defensemen. Ferraro, for example, had a couple of shots on goal and was active offensively. And in terms of defending, they were better than some of their last games, at least, and in comparison to just this overall last year and a half. However, they still had their breakdowns and errors in this game. For example, Henry Thrun had a couple of rough shifts on the ice. He didn't do even remotely a decent job clearing the traffic in front of the net. This ended up preventing Georgiev from ever seeing the pass from Carrier to Newhook, which gave Newhook an easy and nonchalant goal, the Habs' second of the game. They conceded 2 power play goals in this game to Cole Caulfield and Brendan Gallagher, which is nothing new as the Sharks on both sides of the puck have struggled on power plays, but they are much worse on the defensive end in killing them. And once again, we saw that in this game. The Brendan Gallagher goal was particularly bad. Ferraro came out more away from the goal to try and intercept Newhook and his pass attempt when he needed to be in there near the net to at least make it a 2-on-1 situation. And he and Wallman also got completely marinated on that Gallagher goal as the Canadiens forwards skated around them and were pretty much able to invade the front of the net by Georgiev. And then the shorthanded goal, Timothy Liljegren gets outplayed on that 2-on-1 following Podorowski's awful turnover. All the defensemen, given it was a Sharks power play, pushed up to help the offense, but they pushed up too far into the attacking zone to where they left themselves vulnerable to a crazy counterattack, which is exactly what happened. And what makes it worse was that was the winning goal for Montreal. To concede while being on the favorable side of a 5-on-4 power play is not just standard losing or defensive blunders. That's losing and blundering in a creative way for this defense. Enforcers, B-. There were no fights in this game, so the enforcer's job was to now help out the team in terms of producing scoring chances and contributing offensively. Luke Cunnin and Barclay Goodrow played with good pace. They were physical on the ice, delivering some hard but clean checks. Cunnin also had a couple good chances with the puck in this game. However, he ended up shooting them wide. Nevertheless, it was a better game for Cunnin compared to his prior couple of games where he appeared to be going through the motions but mostly non-existent. As for Barclay Goodrow, he didn't have as good of a start to the game as Cunnin, and he also took a penalty which resulted in a power play goal for the Habs. However, I do think he had a couple solid shifts near the end of the second period and in the third period. He also had a primary assist on Colin Graff's goal, so while they didn't stand out, the Enforcers still did have good moments on the ice. B- grade is fair, and given how the game unfolded, not a terrible grade by any means. Goalkeeper, C. Alexander Georgiev was the starting goaltender, and Georgiev, he forgived again. 4 goals conceded with a save percentage of 80%. Ooh. But I am a neutral sports channel host, and I do believe you have to criticize and give slack when it is justified in either case. And looking back at all 4 Montreal goals, case by case, I feel you have to do some of the latter and give Alexander Georgiev some slack here. The Caulfield goal was a solid one-timer on a power play, and we already know what happens when the Sharks are on the power play kill. The New Hook goal, some would say he should have made the save, but there was a lot of traffic in front of him, and as said earlier, Henry Thrun didn't do a good job clearing that traffic out of the way and ended up becoming part of it. The Gallagher goal was once again poor penalty killing by the defenseman. And then the 4th goal was a 2-on-1 that definitely left room to criticize Georgiev and make that, Forgiev joke. But at the same time, such a scenario, while the Sharks are on the power play and the opponents, the Montreal Canadiens, are shorthanded, that should not have ever happened. That a scenario like that should never happen on any good team. A lot of the problems still once again come down to the Sharks needing to retool defenseman-wise. Head coach, B-. Ryan Warsofsky once again had the offense functioning on all cylinders. His young offensive front put up a very good performance in this game, and they also capitalized on the power plays. This is something that the Sharks were really wanting to work on going forward, and Warsofsky and the Sharks saw an improvement there in this game, as we saw with that tic-tac-toe goal. That is something you work on in practice, and the Sharks executed that play perfectly. However, there are still some things offensively that still need work. There are still moments where the Sharks are slower in regards to their movement and passing of the puck. And some of their passing game has sloppy moments. Look for Warsofsky to address this going forward. Again, I also question why he started Georgiev in this game. He has not been in good form at all. I felt this would have been a good game for Yaroslav Askarov to play in. And this is a decision that you can criticize both Warsofsky and even Mike Greyer for. And as they moved Askarov back to the Barracuda to make a playoff run in the AHL. And I get it in some way. The AHL team is doing good and the young prospects there are in good form. There is also the fact that Georgiev and Vanacek are competing to not just remain on the team in the future, but Georgiev, who has really struggled this year and will be a free agent at the end of the season, is essentially fighting for his career. So it makes sense that since Askarov is not in that position, that you let him go back to the AHL and let the other two play. However, I do think Askarov is more than ready for the NHL, and it would be better for him to develop and get playing time with the young offensive front, especially in a winnable game like this. There isn't much for him to improve on when he is NHL ready. I will also say the same thing in regards to the decision to call up Podorowski. I get that he has been in really good form in the AHL, and in that regard, the call-up was very much deserved for Podorowski. However, he is 31 years old, and at that age, he isn't going to be a long-term solution for the Sharks following the Granlund trade. I would have rather seen a young prospect like Philip Baystedt, Bordelot, or even Daniel Gushin. And given how Podorowski performed, you can tell he just isn't that guy for this level. Like, he's a yo-yo player, to best describe him. He's elite with the Barracuda and too good for the AHL, but not good enough for the NHL. It would have been better to experiment with a younger prospect who could be here long term. And then once again, the defense really does remind me a lot of last season under David Quinn. His defense conceded while shorthanded. While the defense is simply awful, that is also some bad coaching by Warsofsky. Having your players push up more into the attacking zone, but then be unprepared and vulnerable to a counterattack, not good, and it resulted in a crazy game-winning goal in a very shocking way. I think Warsofsky, and I have said this in a past grades video, by having the defensemen on the power play push up as much as they did, I think he again took a risk to try and win the game when, given it was tied 3-3 in the third period, he didn't need to in that scenario, and it ended up hurting the Sharks. Look for Warsofsky to recognize that mistake and for him to be a bit more conservative in these scenarios in third periods. Final score, Canadiens win 4-3. And for this game, I will give the overall team grade a C. A disappointing loss given how well the offense played, and that this was a game the Sharks were capable of winning. But they lost, and in the end, the Sharks right now, they are what their record says they are. It also doesn't help that the Canadiens fans took over the arena with a large away fan attendance. However, the away fans, many who were French-speaking and made the trip from Montreal, were very respectful and very nice fans, friendly with everyone, some even taking photos with other Sharks fans for a good Instagram post, with a Sharks and Habs jersey together in the same photo. So, my respect to Habs fans, good game, and a good fan base. With this loss, the Sharks are now 0-8 against Canadian teams this year. The San Jose Sharks will play another Canadian team on Thursday night, the Vancouver Canucks. We'll see if they can finally get in the win column in that regard. Not good to be winless against Canada-based teams, but hopefully they turn it around against Vancouver. And then Saturday, they will play against the Dallas Stars. That will be all for me in this video. Leave a like and subscribe and leave your opinions on the game in the comments below. Also, feel free to check out my other sports content on the channel. That'll be all for me in this one. We'll see what happens in the Sharks' next two games. Thank you, everybody. Go Sharks.